So I do believe that manifestation and visualization are two different things. Visualization is the neurological training technique that rewires the brain. They told me I had something called ulcerative colitis, and the word that just kept coming up again and again from doctors, from the internet, was incurable. Because the pain in my colon was so intense, like morphine did nothing. But for me, I kept coming back to visualization. Me showing myself where I could go, who I could be, and how you can influence the cells in your body and help with pain.
What was the turning point that you discovered ways to make yourself well?
The most transformational part of this was...
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. So you're probably already familiar with terms like visualization and manifestation. I think we use them to set goals and maybe accomplish things at work. But can these buzzwords be beneficial to our health? Well, according to my guest today, yes, they can. And they have. So at just 15 years old, a time when most teenagers are focusing on things like first dates or getting their driver's license, my guest was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, leaving her with a difficult circumstance and even more difficult decisions. The condition left her weak, in constant pain, and running to the bathroom more than 30 times a day. But her commitment to healing never wavered. Through it all, she envisioned a stronger version of herself and committed herself to a practice called mental fitness, which we will explore today. She's the author of Visualize, a 5-step plan to master visualization, banish self-doubt, and enhance performance, and is here to share so many of her insights and experiences with us today. What I love about this book is it's very actionable, just 5 to 7 minutes a day. Please welcome Maya Raichoora. Hi, everyone. Today's episode is brought to you by The Reset. You'll appreciate its original title. I'm really excited about this one because it's something I'm personally hosting. The Reset is a women's wellness retreat taking place here in LA, and it's from January 23rd to the 25th. It's open to just 30 guests. We've created The Reset to help women navigate the complex world of wellness, providing a playbook to the best that we can that is informed, simple, and actionable, most importantly. Over 3 days, we'll cover movement, breathwork, recovery, mindset, nutrition, hormone health, and more. Can you feel what I'm passionate about? It's an opportunity to take many of the topics that we discuss here on the show and bring them to life in an intimate group setting. We'll even have a private live taping of the Gabby Reece show with a special guest. So if you're looking for an opportunity to grow and learn and connect with an incredible group of women, I would love to see you there. You can learn more and apply at thereset.com. That's thereset.com, REECET.com. Maya, welcome to the show and congratulations on your new book.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
You were saying that this is the first time you're seeing the American version. We have a little more frivolous colors.
Yeah.
And it's smoother, shinier. Is that right? Than the British version?
Absolutely. And actually, it was funny because my publishers were like, Maya, there's a big change to the book for the American version. I was like, oh gosh, what is it?
Yeah.
And they're like, we're going to have to resend you the manuscript, so just please check it. I was like, okay. And I get it. And I couldn't see the change. So then I was like, what is it? She was like, every S has changed into a Z. I was like, oh. So like, it's just because, so the word visualize is a Z here, but it's an S in London. And that was it.
I never even thought of that.
I know. But no, it's cool. It looks great. And yeah, I'm excited.
I want to say that I read your book. I just got it yesterday. And I was thinking about it and also watching on other interviews. And I thought to myself that the timing of you being a person talking about this topic at your age is really, really important, because there's going to be an entire group of people, an entire generation, younger than you and a little bit older than you, that this is going to be a really powerful tool that they may not receive from a 50-something-year-old. So I just want to say I got sort of more excited when I got into your story and the fact that you've even had your own personal journey that we'll get into, that even though you are quite young, you're 26, 7?
27, yeah.
Yeah, that your delivery, the no nonsense, your personal experience, and the fact that you live in this world. You grew up with a phone, you grew up with social media. And so your ability to understand it on a more intuitive level about what people are navigating is really, really important. So I just wanted to say that, because a lot of times we think we're learning from older people. And sometimes people my age, they don't really truly understand what your generation and the groups on either side are dealing with. So I'm excited for your message.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I think it's, I do think you can learn something from everyone, whether they're 2-year-old or, 50-year-old. But I do agree that there's very few people my age who are talking about it / have the experience. But interestingly, in the fields I work in, whether it's sport, business, people are also like, well, what is a 27-year-old going to tell me about training my brain? Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that challenge. I think it's only helped me to push myself to, not necessarily prove myself, but I guess own what I'm doing. But I think the biggest advantage it gives me is changing the narrative and the tone of what it means to train the brain. Because I think it's not just a go on a mountain and, sit and meditate, which I love to do. It's also, how do you integrate this into your life so you can perform better, you can feel better, be more confident. And I never really had that growing up. So changing the narrative is key.
And it's buttoned up. Listen, your book is buttoned up. It's well structured. It's organized. It's easy to understand. I would like to start with your story. I think it's about 80% of the time, the people that are the best in these ways have had their own experience that they had to overcome. And you're no different.
Yeah. So I guess I'll take you back to being 15-ish?
Going to the bathroom. Yeah. What was it, 65 times? Or I know now. What did you say?
So when I was about 15, I've grown up in a South Asian family. So we grew up always pretty high achieving. At school we were told you've got to have the A's, the A stars, otherwise you won't really get far. But also I was put into sports quite early on and I loved it. So I played badminton for my county, then my country. And
you played what, badminton?
Yeah, badminton. Okay. And I loved it. It was always just like part of our family. And, I took it very seriously. And ideally, I would have loved to take it even further and compete internationally as well. And then, at the age of about 15, I was getting some, I guess, pain or just like constipation in my stomach. But it's pretty normal. And it was around Christmas time. So just went to the doctors. They gave me a few like enemas and they were like, that's cool. Like it will soothe it and you'll be fine. And as time went on, just things were not getting better at all. So I decided to have a proper, colonoscopy and test. And that's when they told me I had something called ulcerative colitis, which I'd never heard of before. In fact, it was so hard to say. I was like, what even is this? And obviously I did what everyone does. You Google it. And the word that just kept coming up again and again from doctors, from the internet, was incurable, incurable, incurable. And that's a weird place to be because you're like, whoa, I now have something that's never going to go away. But I was very positive as a young girl. So I was like, okay, I can deal with it. I can handle it. And I guess no one could have ever told me or predicted maybe what the next 4.5, 5 years of my life looked like. It was just day after day, you are battling your body because scientifically the disease is where, it's essentially eating your immune cells. And that led to bleeding every time I went to the toilet. It led to excruciating pain that, I would be, let's say in the middle of the night, I'd have to rush to the loo, but then I literally could not get back up from the loo. Even though my bed is like 3 steps away, I just have to sit there because I was completely paralyzed. And you can't even scream, you can't cry, you can't feel like you can't let out the pain because it's very animalistic is all I can kind of say. Mm-hmm. And then when you're not in pain, you're so scared of it.
You're waiting for it.
And then obviously I was going through all the medications that you're meant to go on. And at one point I was on about 65, not just from Western medication, but I also tried everything. I tried things in India. I tried things in America because you're desperate. You just want to, my parents were like, Maya, let's try everything we can. But just nothing was helping, nothing. And the only option I had was remove your colon. And to be fair, a lot of people do this and they live with a stoma bag, which is a really great standard of living. Like it's really good and you get your quality of life back. But I was like 17 at the time. Partly, I've got to admit, it might have been a bit superficial to be like, but my life hasn't even started yet. And I'd have to be pooing in a bag.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's fair. I think it's fair listen, it would be hard if you were older, but when you're a young person, just even getting into the discovery of yourself, your body, intimacy with another person. I mean, this, of course.
Exactly. And obviously at that age, all my friends are like meeting their first boyfriends, going to parties. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to poop in a bag.
Yeah.
And I will never know why this was the case, but there was something in me that was just like, don't do it yet. Just don't do it yet. And I was like, I just turned 18, so I did have the option to actually, you know, have my right. Before then, ultimately, it would have been my parents' right in that way. But I was just like, don't know, just don't do it yet. At this point in my journey, it'd been about 4.5 years, and I was not who I used to be. Like every little bit of light I had in my eyes or in my heart, or any bit of love or joy I'd ever felt, I just was incapable of feeling it. I didn't know what it was like to love life or have hope for life. And that's scary at that age. You know, we were just talking about your daughter. You're 17, you've got the world coming up, you've got college. When everyone's telling you, Maya, unfortunately, you can't do this, you can't ever walk again, you know, you're going to have 24/7 care. I mean, what do you say?
Yeah. And then what about finishing up just even your primary schooling? Like, what was that like?
Do you know what's, only now in hindsight do I see how ridiculous it was. I could not get out of the fact that I needed to get A stars. So I would be in hospital doing all my work.
Oh, you're one of those.
I was one of those. I have grown up knowing that if you achieve, you will be worthy. If you achieve, you'll be successful. And so I would still be doing like my economics, my geography in hospital. I'd be going to school if I could, but I'd be having accidents in class, wearing nappies. And it's like, no one knew, but I just kept going. But now, I think I needed someone to be like, just stop. Because I think you're told like, it's okay, if you've got a disease, let's put plasters on it, but carry on life as normal.
Yeah.
But actually, if someone had said to me, do you feel pressure right now? Or are you feeling stressed? Are you maybe not so happy with your friends? I actually think my reality would have been very different.
If somebody came to you when you were 16 or 15 and you were diagnosed, maybe it was a coach, I don't know, someone near but far, and they knew your family and knew kind of like this sort of achieving, striving, which are admirable traits, but hard nonetheless, right? If someone had said, hey, does any of this performance, does it make you feel any pressure or stress, and you're not able to talk about it, do you think you would have had the skills then to reflect and think, oh, maybe? Do you think you would have been able even to be in touch with that this is what was happening?
Yeah, I really do think it does start with a question or a moment of reflection. I think that's all you really need. And then being able to take the time on your own to do it. Like something I am so passionate about now is this idea of like solo dating. You have to date yourself, spend time with yourself so you can ask those questions. And if you tell anyone, go on a coffee date on your own, don't take your phone, it's like the most scary thing ever. Like I've come to LA for the next 2 weeks, fully on my own. I don't know anyone here, and I'm treating it like, okay, Maya, solo trip for yourself. Treat it as like a honeymoon, but for you. Like, what are you going to do? And even just on the car here, like, you know, I think about the things that maybe are a bit noisy in my life. I wouldn't be able to do that if I was with loads of other people. And so I think that question when I was younger would have given me that starting point for sure, because, and I'm sure like you mentioned at the beginning, humans are really interesting where it requires so much suffering to make that change. We either make change because we're so inspired by something, but I think definitely in the personal development and, you know, getting to know who you are and going deeper into that, it always feels like you have to suffer. And I guess what Buddha said, where life is suffering, I kind of get it, because the level of your suffering, I think, correlates to the the level of the peace or alignment you can live going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, I'm grateful I got to do this when I was younger. Would I do it again? Probably not. But I'm grateful for where I am. And it spurs me on to now ask the right questions.
So was there a turning point? What was the turning point that you sort of discovered ways to make yourself well?
Yeah, so I guess the most transformational part of this was there was a day when I was in hospital. It was probably my 8th day there. And I was a very bitter, very numb individual. And I remember my sister had come from university to visit me. And she came in and she was eating this rainbow salad from M&S.
What's that?
It's just I don't know, it's colourful. It's got sweet corn, carrots, everything. And I looked at her and she travelled all the way. And I was just get out. Because I saw a healthy person doing something that I hadn't done for so long. And I just felt so angry and bitter. I couldn't be around it. So I remember I just want to see you. And it was that night where this nurse, she came into my room. It's 2 a.m. They always take your bloods at silly times. But anyway, and she was she could see I was just so, I'd given up, basically. And she was to me, Maya, if you weren't in hospital laying here, where would you be? And I looked at her just giving daggers to her because I thought it was a really insensitive question. She could see where I was and I'd been told you can't really leave here for a while. And yet that's what she asked me. So I was just you need to get out of my room. I'm so angry. And then I thought about her question because at this point I had gotten into uni, but I couldn't go because, I was 35 kilograms and it would be really dangerous to be going there. And so when she left the room, I was okay, let me think. So I closed my eyes and the first thing I wanted to do was I just wanted to feel a little bit human again. And so I just saw myself walking in the hospital hallway, which is not a big deal at all, but I hadn't done it in so long. So I would actually see my legs walking and I'd pass the different rooms. I'd wave to a patient, but I'd still be holding my IV drip. So it was really real for me. And I was in the same outfit in the gown. And then I opened my eyes and I was for the first time in 4.5 years, I asked myself, wait a sec, what if I actually can do this? What if I can walk again? And then the brain naturally pushed me a bit to be Maya, what if you can go to university? What if you can play badminton again? And obviously my brain's saying oh, no, stop putting that hope into your head. But every time I would close my eyes, I was in that world. So I was actually seeing myself now at Bristol Uni in lectures. I mean, how boring is that? But I loved it. I was there taking notes. I saw myself in Bristol University badminton kit. And that was impossible at this stage. And so any spare moment I had, I just kept doing this. And it's only now that I realize that is a technique called visualization or mental rehearsal. I eventually gained enough strength to leave hospital. And all I knew was, okay, something I'm doing with my mind is just, I guess, giving me a little bit more hope or motivation. So let me explore it. And that's when I just went into a massive, massive rabbit hole of meditation, visualization, any retreat I could find, I would do it, but I have to do it online. And then I remember doing Tony Robbins' 5-day thing, but I was in bed, and his was overnight for me. So I'd be slightly asleep and then starting to shout all these affirmations. And I did everything, Joe Dispenza's, all of them, just to absorb everything. And then I had my own teachers. But for me, I kept coming back to visualization. It kept coming back to me showing myself where I could go, who I could be. But then I also learned about other techniques of visualization from medicine and how you can, influence the cells in your body and help with pain. That was the best one I had done because it gave me this freedom back where I could just feel my body again. Because the pain in my colon was so intense, morphine did nothing. I would always see it as these like piranhas, and they'd just be like eating me. And like, that's why I was bleeding. And in my visualizations, I would shoot them again and again and again.
With what?
I was just shooting them with guns in my mind. And I saw these fish dying. And obviously we'll get onto this, but because the brain doesn't know if you are imagining something or if it's actually happening, I was able to influence my relationship with pain. I'm not saying it just went away the next day, but for like, instead of seeing it as pain, I was like, oh, it's just fish. I can kill these fish. And so that was really interesting because I drew my whole colon out. It was on my vision board every morning. I would see a healthy one. So I did everything. And what started off as that 2-minute thing in hospital became passion, then deep, deep obsession. And then now it's been 8.5 years and I have just dedicated everything to going so deep into the power of visualization. From a sports background, from neuroscience, from psychology, from medicine, from goals, to the point that I realize so many people just don't know how to use it or why or when.
You know, I often think sometimes we're led internally, you know, we have our internal wisdom, but our instincts, our even our faith, you know, and I don't need to design or define what faith for any person, but there sometimes is this sense of something greater than myself, right?
Yeah.
When you read your book and it gives you, you know, the 5 areas of mental fitness, and we can go through that, but there is this thing of like so deeply connecting with yourself and then connecting with something so much greater, and it's so simultaneous, and it is not one without the other. Yeah. And was there anyone in your life that was like, oh my gosh, like, oh, amazing, or what are you doing? Or did your family just kind of, because you were improving, were they like, all right, you know, go for it? Like, how was the response? Because if you're the first maybe person in your either friend group or family to kind of sort of take these things on, were they like, oh, we're so open-minded?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Actually, I've never been asked that. So it wasn't an easy road, partly because you are technically going against all advice. And I think my parents have always just wanted me to be the happiest and healthiest and give me the best chance of that. And there I am being like, no, I don't want this, don't want surgery. I'm not going to listen to doctors. In fact, I'm going to come off all my medication. That was the scariest. And I remember them being like, Maya, this is dangerous. And it was, because I was coming off immunosuppressants, which is like the thing that's meant to maintain you. But in my head, I was like, how can I understand where my body is healing or if it's healing if I can't even hear it? You're suppressing the signals.
This podcast is brought to you by Fatty 15. I think by now it's pretty obvious how I feel and care about wanting to age well, just stay strong, sharp, and energized. But that doesn't mean that I haven't noticed some changes. I mean, it's natural. Slower recovery, definitely, joint stiffness, and even some things with my sleep. And it's just not as deep. I've tried a lot of wellness products over the years, but Fatty 15, it's one of those ones that stands out for me. I've been taking it for years. It's powered by something called C15. And C15 is the first essential fatty acid that's been discovered in over 90 years. And it's backed by real science, not hype. C15 helps our cells stay strong and resilient, supporting healthier aging from the inside out. It's vegan, clean, and free of fillers, allergens, and even preservatives. Over 70% of users report benefits like improved sleep, joint function, and even healthier skin and hair within 16 weeks. Plus, it comes in a cute little bottle that's reusable, glass and bamboo, easy to refill. Fatty 15, they're on a mission. They want to optimize your C15 levels to help you live healthier longer. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit. And all you have to do is go to fatty15.com/Gabby. And don't forget to use the code Gabby, Gabby, at checkout. That's fatty15.com/Gabby, fatty15.com/Gabby. And don't forget Gabby at checkout for 15% off.
And I remember explaining this to them, and I am so, I guess, grateful that they told me all the risks of this, but they were also like, they had a good balance. They were like, try it for X amount of time and then we got to see, And I was like, okay, I need to really double down on it. So whilst, they gave their opinions and they did so much for me. Like, I remember us traveling to India, and this stuff is expensive, people forget that you have to really give up so many of your savings or the things you never think to use your income for. And I'm so grateful that my dad was willing to do that. Because we went to every best doctor we could find, some in Mayo Clinic, some in France. And it was just it was so hard to watch it. But again, we were all desperate. And so in that sense, they were the most supportive people. I think I had an interesting relationship with my sisters because they were both at uni. So they didn't see the brunt of what was really going on. And I probably didn't let them. But I remember in COVID speaking to both of them being like, you guys weren't there for me. And they were like, what? But I learned that everyone was just doing their best. And I'd never felt compassion for people on the other side of it because it was just I was always like, you guys don't understand. You don't know what I'm going through every day. But I realized it's also not great for them. And so I really healed that type of relationship, which was great. Friends had no clue.
Yeah.
Because all they could do was compare it to period pain, probably. And I found that really difficult because I just felt so unheard.
Yeah.
And then also when they knew I was ill, it was never like, oh, hey, Maya, how are you? It's like, how are you feeling?
Yeah. Oh, how are you?
And so this persona of being quite sick and, is constantly in there. So I do think I took some serious risks. And that's why I would never advise anyone. When people message me, they're like, oh, can you help me? I'm like, honestly, no.
Yeah.
Because I actually probably wouldn't recommend it to my own kids. But in that moment, I did it. And, I haven't looked back since, because now the more I learn about your body, your mind, you do realize that, there's a connection that we absolutely destroy with, whether it's food, whether it's emotions, whether it's medicine. For my case specifically, not for everything. And I'm glad I got to go on that journey. And I'm proud of myself for believing that I could do it.
So visualization versus manifestation. Maybe we could just kind of put a different, you said it really interesting, like athletes not manifesting, kind of winning. It's interesting. I'd love to hear, you differentiating the two.
So I do believe that manifestation and visualization are two different things. And I can say that because I also believe in manifestation. So I think manifestation, what is it? It's this broad idea that if I can create something in my mind, I can make it a reality. Absolutely. Yay. The areas I find it a little bit... the reason I don't like it when it overlaps with visualization is because visualization is the neurological training technique that rewires the brain. Now, when you look at the 5 types of visualization, where you've got outcome, process, negative, creative, and explorative, I'll take the example of negative visualization. In this one, I'm asking you to visualize the worst case scenario. So for a manifester, that is their worst nightmare. I'm literally asking you to manifest that into your life. But the reason it's great for visualization is because in the visualization, if you see yourself overcoming something, or you see yourself handling it, or you actually experience it before it happens, then you're way more prepared. So it's a really great tool, again, for performance motivation. But for manifesting, that'd be like absolute no-go.
Right. And I feel like manifesting, you feel like, oh, that's the end of the story. And what you're saying is this might show up as part of the story. So now you're more prepared.
Exactly. And I think manifestation is kind of a philosophy. I think it's this idea that, hey, you know what? I can create my reality. And I really do agree with that. Where I use that thing about sports, and I always say, would we ever say that Michael Phelps manifested 26 golden medals at the Olympics? We wouldn't. And I don't think he would either, right? But he was someone that visualized those moments, his races, but not because he was just waiting for it to happen. He put in so much hard work, right? But what he was doing, he was wiring his brain for that elite preparation, elite success, but also that flow state, because he did so much process visualization. And then obviously if you bring in creative visualization or explorative, again, you're not really doing anything to do with manifestation, because that's for managing emotions or pain or disease. The only one it overlaps with is outcome visualization. And that's because people will say that when you're manifesting, you should visualize the end result, what it feels like, who's there, what it tastes like. All great. That's really good. But I think what's key is just remembering that visualization in itself is a technique. And it's not that, it just magically appears. It's that you as a person are probably changing. Your lens is changing. So you might see a different opportunity. You might respond a bit differently. And so theoretically, that's why it's different. But practically, the other reason it's really important to see the differentiation is because I often get a lot of people say, like, oh yeah, like, I made my vision board at the beginning of the year and like, I'm going to manifest all these things. But you can't just do it once in the year, right? Whereas with visualization, I treat it as you're doing this every day. Yeah. It is part of your mental fitness, just like going for a walk or physical fitness is.
This is a big thing for me in the space of, let's call it wellness, okay? Because it's everything, right? It's like fitness. It's whatever the titles that we put on it, so we can all sell things. The practice.
Yeah.
I just bang on, and it's so unsexy. But I'm like, it's great. You have all the data. What is your practice? Like a practice. And so I thought it was I'm actually, I'll tell you this now, when I read this book, I thought, I'm going to give this to my 17-year-old daughter. This will go over very well for her. It'll make sense to her. You break it down, but there's a real practice that's built into this book. And I thought, this makes sense, because it's people do want to be told also what to do. But that is probably the only way we really make it. We get from here to whatever that place is on the vision board. You don't just kind of fumble your way and arrive. It's like, take a left, take a right, go for 2 miles, take a left. Okay, go.
Have a car crash.
Yes.
All these things.
But that's how you get there. Not just like, I'm going to go there. It's like, go where? And what's the plan to get there? So you've mentioned the 5 types of visualization. Maybe we can just visit each one so people can get a sense of it, because it is. Yeah. I was like, I never thought about that before.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, just to add, I think this is what I hate about the wellness industry, is that you can read every book, you can watch every video on ice baths or every podcast ever. Mm-hmm. But if you do not do the work, it means nothing. It actually means nothing, because it's
worse.
Exactly. And in the work is when you realize, this didn't work for me, or actually I need to refine it for myself. And that's why, I obviously use the term mental fitness expert. I was so frustrated that at school or amongst conversations, it's like, I have anxiety. I'm like, okay, like, what are you doing about it? No, look, I have anxiety. I'm showing myself here. Like, I'm being vulnerable. Great. And I'm glad the conversation is better. But there's no point saying, let's say, running is so good for you, but then you don't go on a run.
Yeah.
Or, taking time for yourself is so good for you. There's no point just saying it if you're not going to do it. And that's why, even if it's just 2 minutes, and everyone's like, I don't have time. You have time.
I want to back up. Show me how good it is.
Yeah.
Good it gets. Thank you is your morning. I don't know if it still is, but that was your morning salutation to yourself.
Yeah. Every morning I would say thank you. And even I started this 5.5 years ago when I was in so much pain. And my teacher was like, Maya, you wake up and say thank you. I was like, no, I'm not thank you. I'm not thankful of anything. She's like, you're breathing. I was like, fine. So I would just be like, thank you for breathing. Now I'm like, thank you for this, thank you for that. And then I say, show me how good it gets. And then at night, before I go to bed, I always just say to myself, it's a reminder on my phone, and it says, you're not grateful enough. And I love it because it's kind of mean, but it's so good because it reminds me to be like, Maya, actually really feel your gratitude. Yeah. Not just write down a few things on a list. You're not grateful enough.
Yeah.
And so I like that.
It's interesting how what motivates us, like you talked about it earlier, like, I'm not well, or I want to get that, pot of gold at the end, like whatever the things that jam us. But I find it interesting where ultimately belief and love are still, I think, the greatest fuel. And I joke about athletes that most of us were screwed up and we had something to prove, and somebody told us somewhere, or it was our ticket out, right? Whatever the thing is. So it is interesting how it's the screwy part of us often that makes us perform well. But when you're talking about human beings or like children or parenting or friendship, I still think the ultimate fuel would be, hey, I believe in you and you can do this, but you have to put the work in, versus you're no good. You know, you won't be able to do it. And so it's interesting on the human side, like on this visualization side, even though you have, hey, listen, it's important to do this negative visualization because you don't want to be surprised and you want to confront like your demons. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm scared, or I don't believe I can do it, or what if it goes wrong, or what if it's not funny, or what if people don't like it? It's good to know that and then be able to move on. But it is funny how it's like the human side versus the performance side.
Yeah, and you're totally right. Like even when I work with athletes now, so many of them are motivated by fear or like pain, right? Getting out of something. Yeah. And actually, I tell them that's absolutely okay until a certain point. Yeah. Then it becomes destructive because you can't maintain that level of elite performance from hate and like that type of fire. I think that's where the belief, and you're so right, there's nothing more powerful than the love and the gratitude. That's really what I'd say builds a champion versus what helps someone become a champion. Yeah. And I remember so one of my clients, he used to smoke a lot, and he was like a VP at a tech firm. And I tried positive visualization first. So we were like, okay, just imagine who you could be when you don't smoke. Loved it. Did not change his behavior. So I was like, okay, let's bring the big guns. So we did a negative visualization where I asked him to see in 5 years' time, if you were smoking a pack a day, what would your health be like? Would your kids talk to you? What would your eyes look like? All of that. When he came out of that, he was so scared that he has not picked up a cigarette for about 1.5 years. Yeah. Now, in that moment, would I have preferred to do the first one? Yes. Yeah. But I could see that the fear of it was more, I guess, motivating than actually the joy of it. Now, once he's in the habit, now he can be like, oh, hey, this is the future. Exactly. This is the future I want, and this is how I want to maintain it. And so
it's a fuel switch. Yeah. I sometimes say like certain fuel. And that's the other thing is I think when people do these practices like you're proposing, you'll also learn your fuel switch. And even to this day at 55 years old, I will often use dirty fuel. Yeah. Like, I'll show you fuel versus, oh, I'm so fortunate. And, oh, look at all the blessings. I use that most times.
Yeah, it's got different energy, doesn't it?
But sometimes I use nasty fuel.
It makes it sassy.
Yeah. And it's also like a little FU because especially certain things that are harder, I almost need the dirty fuel. It's an interesting switch, but as long as it doesn't eat me up, eat up my relationships, sacrifice my health, do all the things. But in that moment, it's like, oh yeah, and it just kind of gives you that extra little. So I think the other fun thing about this is when people can get to a place where they use these things as a tool, they'll actually be able to play with their demons, if you will.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And that's why I think having 5 techniques gives it a holistic approach to mental fitness. Because I'm not saying just pick one and then that's going to be everything. I'm actually saying you've got to play with them. Because at sometimes in your life, you may need a little bit more negative visualization. Sometimes you may need a bit more creative visualization. And so I guess going back on what they all are. So outcome visualization is where you are seeing the results in advance. And it really builds belief and motivation in the brain and body. And for example, let's say you're running a marathon, you would see yourself crossing that finish line, showing your brain it's possible. Then we've got process visualization, which is great for any type of task, performance, activity. Could be public speaking, but let's use the marathon example. You would be mentally rehearsing you physically running. So feeling it in your legs, your arms. And this you can actually do in first person or third person. So you can see yourself kind of running, or you can really feel it in the body. So before every presentation, podcast, I have visualized this like 6-7 times so that when I'm here, I can be in flow. Then we have negative, which is where similar to process, but you see something going wrong. So you see you going blank on stage, or you wanting to stop in that run, like your body's giving up, but instead you show yourself how you're going to overcome it, how you're going to push through it.
This podcast has been brought to you by Cornbread Hemp. So if you're like me, you're always looking for a natural way to support your body, especially after like a tough workout or even a long day. I think all of us have a lot of long days. And lately, I've been winding down with something called Cornbread Hemp's full spectrum CBD gummies. And they've become an occasional evening routine for me. Really easy to use, taste great. So whether I'm easing some sore muscles or just trying to relax, they help me settle in without feeling foggy. They're USDA organic, made with real fruit, watermelon, berry, and peach, and only the flower of the hemp plant. So no stems, seeds, or junk. So if you're looking for a clean, natural way to ease daily aches and even just unwind, give them a try. Everything is third-party lab tested, so you can get comfortable with that. You know exactly what you're getting. Right now, listeners of the Gabby Reece Show will get 30% off their first order and free shipping on orders of $75 or more. All you have to do is go to cornbreadhemp.com/Gabby and use the code Gabby at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com, cornbreadhemp.com/Gabby.
Then we have creative visualization, and this is using mental imagery to regulate emotions, release pain and disease. Super fun. If you've seen the film Inside Out, it's kind of using your imagination to give your emotions, colors, images, so it's playful. And then we've got explorative visualization, which is probably the most undocumented and unknown version. Comes from people like Walt Disney, Einstein, Nikola Tesla. And it was a way to tap into a part of your brain that could problem solve better, create better. And Walt Disney called this Imagineering. So engineering your imagination. And those are the 5 types. And again, you use them for very different reasons, but they all have their own role to play.
Yeah. And you've really organized it, like the areas of mental fitness. You talk about the consistency of it, the cardio of it, the diet, the rest, and the weightlifting.
Yes.
I mean, you really broke it into terms that people can understand. So if someone's hearing this and they think, yeah, I just can't quiet my mind enough to be able to, I start, but I don't believe it, or I drift off into it. Because athletes and CEOs, for example, people that you work with, there is a certain underlying motivation reward system, right? Like I will do it when I first started visualizing. I think I actually was more of a personal thing when I was younger, because I was living in a home, and I'm not placing blame anywhere. I didn't want to be there. And I can remember being like, I just have 2 more years of this. I could see that I knew where the line was. So it didn't make me feel like it was going to go on forever. I understood, and I used that understanding of, hey, at some point, this is going to become my life. So what do you want it to look like? Mm-hmm. And I would start there. And then in sport, it's like, I want to win. And sometimes I hold myself back, or I'm afraid to win, or I want to win, but I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, or all these weird things that I remember experiencing as an athlete. So the motivation, the reward is there. What about a sort of householder who they'd like to use this as a tool to have better relationships or respond better? You talk about the teacup formula, which I really appreciate, which is basically responding correctly or under pressure.
Yeah.
They think they can't do it. You talk to people all the time that go, I can't do it. I get bored. I'm distracted. Things happen. What are the steps to surrendering to start?
The reason I made that analogy with physical fitness is because we rarely think that if you go to the gym for the first time, one, you're going to know how to use all the machines perfectly, or you'll see your abs immediately. So in the same way, I'm not expecting the mind to be quiet when the first time you do it. I'm not expecting that you're going to get into the habit literally tomorrow. I think the point is seeing it as a lifelong journey where it's a way of life rather than just like, oh my God, it's such an annoying chore. And I think I do get those people who are saying, oh, I just can't do it, or it's just the way I am. It's just the way I am.
I love that.
Yeah, all the time. It's just my character. I'm like, well, yeah, but okay, that can change. So for someone who, let's say, does feel like they always react, or, you know, they lash out at their partner, or maybe they come home and they don't feel like themselves, whatever it might be, I'd say one of the strongest ways to start visualization is with your character, because identity plays a huge role in how we show up in life, whether it's family, friends, but also work or sport. And so many studies have shown that identity-based like habits or change is really effective. Because even just being like, no, you know what? I'm the type of person that can sit down for 2 minutes a day versus, oh no, I can't do that. I'm the type of person that invests in my health. I'm the type of person that feels gratitude. That one shift, like I remember, so I've struggled to let go for so many years of my life. And that's partly a big reason colitis comes, is because you create so much inflammation. And
what does that mean, let go, in your terms? Like to not be, you know, perfect in all these areas of your life, or to surrender to feeling unsure? Like, what does that mean?
For me, it was a lot of grudges, a lot of resentment. When I was young, I was the type of athlete that I could not handle losing. I couldn't do it. You know, I remember being on like a singles court, and if I lost, I actually didn't care about the game. My brain went straight to, I hate that person. I couldn't handle someone else beating me. And I grew up in a 3, right? So I've been born thinking I always have to fight for my attention. I've got to be louder. I've got to be the winner. That's how I'm going to be worthy. And so whenever I lost, I would just resent the person that I was against. I didn't even care about the game. And that's what really stopped me from then improving, because I was just like so much hate. And then the next time I played, when I got on court, filled up with it. And so a lot of chronic illness comes from the fact that we have all these emotions and anger and rage that we just don't know how to deal with. And so I found it hard to just let go of things. Or let's say I've been hurt by something. I don't know why, I just can't, like I love attaching to it. And then I decided like a year ago to just say, you know what, Maya? I'm the type of person that is getting so much better at letting go. It wasn't straight away like, she can let go, amazing. No, it was just like, I'm becoming really good at letting go of things. And I would say this to other people, in my journal, even though it wasn't true just yet, but I was shaping my identity to be like someone who could let go a bit better. And honestly, I sit here today feeling a lot lighter in things, because even just in the last few days, like there's been a few setbacks, rejections, but I'm like, okay, I know I'm the type of person that I can just accept it and let it go. Yeah. And it's cool. So that's partly why identity visualizations and being able to see your character, see who you are. And we were laughing because when I went downstairs and I saw your Superman or Superwoman.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, but
why did you show me
No,
that?
I love it. I was like,
oh my gosh. A friend of mine gave me that. Just let's be clear. It's usually supposed to be facing the other way. If you're listening to this, like, I have a friend, John, too. He's wonderful. But he thought it would be a good idea to give me a superhero cartoon, pretty big, I would say, painting of myself done by a very talented guy of me as Wonder Woman, but of course with a G on my belt. Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
No, but I mean, I saw that, but like in the same way, we can decide to do that for our own characters. We can say, you know what, I want to be someone who's a bit more confident. I want to be someone who is a bit more resilient. And you don't just stop there. You then ask yourself, what does that really mean?
Yeah. And like, what are the traits that person
exactly,
has?
How do they walk into rooms? Like I have on my, that's my character.
Oh.
I have her. She's on my phone. That's why when I saw her, I was like, girl, love this.
Yeah.
But she's called Meta and she's half monk, half beast. So like she has this very introverted, soft, like monk-like side of her. But when she's on stage, she performs like no one else. And that balance has allowed me to really own my own time and energy and not just be in the hustle culture like everyone else. And so, but again, I had to visualize that person. I had to see what they're like, feel their emotion, understand how do they show up in the world. And so that's actually called the Batman effect, which is used a lot in sport.
I think people don't realize too, though, what you've outlined in the book too is there is some discipline to it, right? Yeah. There's a practice. But then what you can do is you can extend out that discipline, because to I interviewed somebody recently who talks about EQ, and that only 36% of people are aware of their emotions, right? So then there's sort of probably a lack of accountability on some level. And so you have a reaction to somebody, and now all of a sudden, they're living rent-free in your house and, in your head, and you're sort of not really in charge of your reactions, your thoughts, and things like that. And I think people don't realize how quickly you can get out of that by the small practice. And this is where I think you said, you could talk to yourself in first person or third. Sometimes that third person formality, because you can't quite get there yet, I think is really powerful.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, well, I am a person who is letting things go. Because if you said, I let things go, you kind of know you're full of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'd be like, I'm a person who isn't going to lose their temper. I'm even down to, I think even with the negative emotion, it's like, I feel scared and I can see where I'd want to react, but I'm a person who understands it's going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you're describing is what, in psychology, they call self-distancing, where if you can create just a little bit of distance between where you are now and what's going on, or your thoughts or your emotions, you're just going to take out the charge in it, and you'll see it just from like an observer point of view, which is such an advantageous part to see it from. And so even just being like, what would Maya 2.0 do in this situation? How would Maya 2.0 want to respond here? Such a small shift, but it's really helpful to just be like, oh, okay, let me see this a little bit from afar and work with that. But yeah, I think character is important because I think when we realize, and we spoke about this, right? When we're young at school, we are shaped by so much noise rather than who we actually are or want to be. Like, we rarely get the choice to be like, actually, who do I want to be? We always get asked, what do you want to do in life? The job, the university, that's all fine. But like, who do you want to be? What type of a person do you want to be? And that goes beyond our labels and our duties. It's like taking away all of that, money, fame, anything, take it all away and just think, actually, who do I want to be? Who am I? And I don't think that's a question you can just answer as soon as you are, ask it. It's, again, a bit of a lifelong thing, but the more you realize that you can evolve and create and shape your own character, the more power you have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be crazy different. It could just be, I just want to be 1% more kinder.
Yeah.
And that's it. But again, all you're doing is you're adding intentionality to who you want to be, because so many of us, we wake up, we repeat the same actions, the same thoughts, the same feelings. And therefore, it's like you wake up every day and you go on stage and you are the exact same character. And then we complain, oh no, but this is the same, or I'm attracting the same relationships, or I'm feeling the same way. Yeah, you will. So we've got to think, okay, instead of going on stage and acting the same way, take a step back, think, okay, who do I want to be? And I always say to people, take out a piece of paper, split it in the middle. On the left side, just write, who am I now? Good things, bad things, anything. On the second side, just say, who do I want to be? And just look at it and you'll see it's not that far away, some little nuances, and then really work on visualizing that person.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing you can do for yourself, because you'll see then, as you invest in your character, you start to act a bit different. You start to feel a bit different.
What if you have, because I know you do, I know you've had clients and they're successful enough, right? Like a lot of it's worked, and that's where it gets dangerous, right? Because then over here you go, yeah, there's the problem in waiting that'll either bite you in 10 years or 20 years because maybe the thing you're doing works for this part of your life. What if they go, well, that's just who I am. Like, that's just who I am. That's how I do it. What is the way to reach somebody that it's almost like they sort of surrendered to it, like, well, that's just me. I'm a hothead. I freak out. I do whatever. What is the way that you reach them to go, well, is it? And is that the only way you really want to be? Because in a way it is working. And that's where it gets dangerous. It's easier to talk to somebody when, their life is falling apart.
I'd say with different clients, different things have worked. So
what about like a really successful CEO that's got a bunch of zeros, and they're just not adjusting to the time, or the formula worked, but kind of it's not going to keep working. They know they need to make a change. Maybe they're on the second or third marriage. Who knows? Whatever the things are. How do you reach the guy who's been, or girl who's been successful enough?
I think you've got to ask them or exaggerate the cost of it. Like, is it costing you anything? Because if it's not, then that's also okay. Like, a lot of the time I get, no, it's costing my relationship with my wife or my husband or with my kid, or just the fact that I wake up each morning and there's something missing. But sometimes I also let them go, and they are always the ones to come back and be like, oh God, I realized something. Because look, I totally appreciate that when we're conditioned for 20, 30, 40 years, it's not like one person can just say something and all that conditioning is gone. No, I appreciate that some instances it's going to require a bit more work, and that's okay. But I'd say one thing as well. So I often get that comment most in my family. It's always they're like, yeah, but...
Oh God. Well, that's because, what is it about the sort of the expert or the witness, you're not going to be seen as somebody in your own home or village, an expert, somebody who lives a mile away. So, okay, that's a great one. How do you and you're the runt of the family. What do you know?
Well, so I used to say, like, I've been doing this work and this is my realm for like 8-9 years, and yet for some reason I still become that 10-year-old, right, in those homes. I think one of the best things I ever did was realize that it's not my job to fix my family. It's just not my job. And everyone in that sense is on their own journey. Like, I can impact people, yes, through my work and in different ways, sometimes my friends. But family, in some ways, it's such a mirror, right? Because so much of who I have been and who I've now become is because of that. Mm-hmm. And it's okay that it's not my role to do that. The one thing I've realized, though, whether you are a leader, a coach, a daughter, a parent, I think one of the best ways to influence someone is by being the role model. Yeah. And by that, I mean, next time you're in an argument and it's like, bam, 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 do something different. Go and just hug them. Or like, if you know a pattern comes up again and again where it's the same trigger, disrupt it slightly. Yeah. Be the role model where you can change, because that's all you can control. Right. But then as you do that, they also can change.
Yeah. It's one of the most important lessons in life. This podcast is brought to you by Vionic. Besides my family and my friends, I truly believe that the greatest thing that all of us own is our well-being. And for me, oftentimes, you've got your internal health. Your health starts from the ground up. Literally, I've always had this kind of love-hate relationship with shoes. I'm a size 12. I could find great ones for training, but in everyday life, no chance. Comfort usually meant giving up style. Well, that is until I found Vionic. I've been wearing Vionic shoes for years now. They feel like recovery sneakers, but look like chic flats or sleek loafers. Stylish and supportive. It's a total game changer. Vionic shoes are built on real science, grounded in biomechanics and designed with purpose. So whether I'm traveling, running errands, or just out with friends, I feel supported, grounded, and confident. Because how we move through the day, it really matters. So just like your nutrition or your mindset, what you put on your feet impacts how you feel. So if you're ready to move with intention, start from the ground up. Use the code Gabby, Gabby, at checkout for 15% off your entire order. All you have to do is go to vionicshoes.com. That's VIONICSHOES.com. When you log into your account, it's a one-time use only. Vionic shoes, wearable well-being for your feet. Something you talked about that I really thought was an important distinction was the difference between confidence and self-confidence.
Right.
And I think we're told to go in the world and, be confident and get out there and be confident versus sort of developing self-confidence. I think especially for young people, I think it's a really important distinction.
I think we get told that confidence is the loudest in the room, the most successful, the one on stage, the ones doing the podcasts. And I think, I remember so vividly, I could literally be doing a presentation or be the loudest in the room, but internally, I just feel so small. I feel so insecure. And what I realized is that whilst confidence used to be all those different definitions, self-confidence is really about self-trust. It's about, can you walk into any room and leave not caring if anyone likes you or not? Can you walk into a room and be the quietest one there, but you genuinely like yourself? Can you speak to a friend and actually be honest with them, even though there's a risk of what they might say? Can you wake up each morning and genuinely just feel worthy in whatever you're doing, despite what you're doing even? And I think when I realized that was self-confidence, the work was different. The work was less about how do I show up and how do I be happy, how do I perform better? It was more, how do I go more inward and really practice self-trust? Because I think when we think of the word trust, it's always about, do I trust that other person or have they broken my trust? But so many of us, we don't really build the relationship of trust within ourselves. And every promise you break, every time you tell yourself you're a bad person, that trust goes down and down and down. And so creating that relationship is really key. And then the other part of it is that you can trust yourself and have the confidence that, let's say everything goes wrong, or like your plan didn't work out, or everyone didn't like you. Do you trust yourself enough to get through that and to be able to handle it and overcome something? And so for me, self-confidence is the crux of everything. But it requires a lot more internal work. And the exciting thing is, once you do that bit of it, the confidence is just there, but it's different. It looks different.
Yeah.
It's not that fake confidence where, you can tell fake confidence when you come back after an event or something. If you feel shattered and like you've had to put a mask on, fake. Yeah. It's fake confidence. And I used to be an expert at it. And now I can see it when other people are doing it. Whereas real self-confidence is like, now, honestly, I'll be in a room and I'm like, if I'm not having fun, I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, my life isn't about that anymore. It's just, I've got to do what's right for my own mind and body.
You broke up your book into 3 parts: awareness, intelligence, and execution. This is highly organized. This is like a working book, not just like a workbook, but a working book. So there's education, there's practices. And I think a lot of people will benefit. As far as your own health, how is that going?
I am the healthiest and happiest I've ever been. I don't experience any symptoms, and I haven't for the last 5 years. Of course, it took time to heal from not only the medication, but the disease itself. But, it's funny. I celebrate. So on the way to LA, I just took a moment in the airport where I fully celebrated the fact that I landed. Not one of those people that just clap, but I just think, for me, I remember the time where I would be sitting outside the airplane toilet because I was so scared about, I needed to go every maybe 10 minutes. And I was so scared that when someone else was in there, I'd have an accident. And I had it so many times. And then, the worst thing is when the air hostesses are like, okay, seatbelts are on, you can't leave. Or doors are now closed, can't move. All those little things used to put me in so much panic and fear. But on the plane, I did an 11-hour flight and I wasn't even on the aisle, okay? I normally have to be on the aisle because my habit is to be I need to run to the loo.
Yeah.
But I was in the middle, squished between loads of different people. And after those 11 hours, I was like, Maya, you didn't even think about it. And no matter how many times I fly, because I fly so much now, I will never stop celebrating those moments, because it's so easy to just be like, cool, that's all over. But I will never, ever take that for granted. And, health is a crown that healthy people wear, but only sick people can see. But I can still see it. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, it's like, you really realize that the only wealth is health. So I'm so grateful that I can walk, I can run, I can fly, I can live out my dream. But it's not to say that I take my life for granted. One of the best things is I had to build my relationship with my stomach and my body, because I used to hate it for so long. Like, it really let me down. But also it didn't. It saved me in other ways, right? It told me the disease was technically the cure. And so that rebuilding process has been amazing, because I've also had to rebuild what being feminine means to me.
You mean because you have to be more direct or certain, more, I don't want to say assertive, but did you, because I've had my own version of this just getting older, where we think, being feminine there's a stoicism, there's a sort of you don't make waves, maybe you say things, but maybe not quite as directly.
So 2 ways. One, because I was always just used to being a bit of a lone wolf and taking care of myself. I didn't know how to let someone else be there for me, ever. But the second way is, I think when you live from 15 to about 19 in nappies and on the loo, and actually having situations where boys kind of scrunch their face because, you're ill. I didn't know how to get close to another guy or feel sexy in myself. So that journey has been fascinating, to be actually, enjoy your body and accept it. So I think in 2 ways, my femininity has evolved.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I feel the healthiest I ever have, which is great. And again, I'm not saying that visualization is the cure. I'm not saying that at all. But can I genuinely say that without it, I would not be where I am? 100%. Yeah. It is the reason I can feel light and love and power in my own life again.
Justin, you got a question.
Oh, you get one. That's good.
Yeah. How do you deal with social media, Instagram, TikTok and stuff, not influencing everything?
I look at social media a bit like the mental diet. So mental diet is everything you're consuming, but not food, because we actually consume content the most. And it got to a point where I was just scrolling and I was like, this person doesn't make me feel good. This image of that fitness person doesn't make me feel good. That idea doesn't. So let me just unfollow them. Why is that such a hard thing to do? And just like your diet, you pick your foods and everything, you can curate what you are consuming. Luckily, this podcast is good knowledge, so that's good. But the other thing is, for me personally, I have no notifications on my phone. None. So even though I am present on social media and obviously, yes, have grown followings, etc., I don't have any notifications. So I don't get any pop-ups or things that make me feel like I should be doing something or make me feel like I'm in a rush or urgent. Because ultimately, being on social media, whether you are famous or not, is like being rich in Monopoly. It means nothing. It actually means nothing. What means something is when you meet someone, can you look into their eyes? Can you understand how they're really feeling? And I get it. Social media is overwhelming. And I think what it's done is created this culture of pure comparison, because everywhere you can be super happy in your life, but then you look that someone's on holiday or someone's in XY job and you're like, oh my gosh, my life's awful. Yeah. That requires discipline for sure, but also kindness. I think understanding that we do live in that world and social media is not inherently good or bad, but you are the one that can decide, let me curate this in a way that's actually serving me and useful for me. Rather than feeling like, oh my gosh, it's just against me and I just need to give into it. Not at all.
Yeah. I just think it's so tricky for people where their brains are just developing. And, how are they, it's like young people getting that skill early as you don't even access, fully to your frontal lobe of your brain.
Yeah.
Somebody told me this great story of someone came to you and said, hey, listen, I'm going to give you 100. You live in a small town. I'm going to give you $100 million. You would be thrilled. But then they gave everyone else in the town $1 billion. And you'd be like, oh, God, I only got $100 million.
Oh, how interesting.
And I thought, oh, yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think one of the great things, and I think your practice would even help people with this. For the most part, I'm able to look at everything from pretty far away. Unless I know it's going to give me education or inspire me, that's the only time I move in. When I see it, I know right away, oh, that's not for me. And I just keep it at that distance with no problem. Because that's the other thing too. I always want to encourage people. If you know certain relationships or certain things aren't ultimately going to bring out the best in you or the best reaction, or all of a sudden your mind starts judging or doing whatever, stop. Don't do that. You know, or if you could go into a room and be at a party and you can see someone, you're like, I don't really have great chemistry with them, which is just a nice way of saying like, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
Why would I go over to them? I mean, if they come up, you can go, hey, how's it going? No problem. But just understanding yourself enough to go, I would like to put myself in situations that I can respond as the person that I'm wanting to be. And I think understanding, it's not that we don't like people or we like people. We have chemistry with them or we don't. And that's okay.
Yeah. You know, you raise a really important point because people are everywhere, whether it is online or it's our own friend group. And I remember there was that, I think it's Jay Shetty who says that, you know, when you wake up, when you go on social media, you're essentially letting in 100 people into your house.
Yeah.
Like, would you ever do that? And it's like, no, I actually wouldn't do that. But the reason I find what you're saying is interesting is because, you know, the people we're around, they become contagious as well. The way they think, the way they deal with stuff, it's all contagious, which is why when we're living in a family home, when you're younger, you tend to have those traits when you're a bit older. And that's why choosing who you're around is really important. But this year, particularly for me, has been really hard because the friends I've had for quite a long time, kind of not out of my choice, it's like we've drifted and I could not accept it. I found it so difficult because, you know, you ask yourself, is it because of me? Sometimes I was like, oh no, because it was around the book, is it because of my career? And there's that great analogy where, you know, friends or relationships are like trees. Some are leaves where they just come and go. Some are branches where they withstand more of the seasons and they're there for you longer, but they also snap off eventually. And then you've got your roots, which are there through everything, summer, winter, everything. They are your ride or die. But it was weird because I was like, I'm not choosing this. Like, I still want them there. But it also became a thing where I was on eggshells and I was trying to just show up as this different person. I was like, so quickly, I was like, Maya, you'd rather have the tiniest circle ever, which is just you, than feel this heaviness of not being included and feeling like they don't want you. And it was tough. And that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Or did they want you to be the old you and not this new kind of changing, blossoming, growing person? Because I think friends sometimes can do that to each other where it's like, I don't know if you've gotten this one. Well, you know how you are. It's like, you mean 4 years ago? And in your life, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Like, is it that kind of thing? Like, I need you to be who I know you to be?
I think in your 20s, it's the weirdest time where, you know, I have friends who are billionaires, but have like 3 kids and are living at home. But then I've got people who are unemployed, but the happiest people ever. Or I've got people traveling the world and I haven't seen them in so long. And your 20s is just, it's messy, right? And I think some people are really settling with their partners. Others are creating empires, businesses. And so naturally we want to relate to each other and we want to be able to do similar things, but it's not where I'm at the moment. And I think it's very easy to then conform to that and be like, oh, I should be doing this, or I need to be in this group. But actually I've decided to kind of, I don't know, try just being a lone wolf again and finding a pack somewhere.
And never let someone say things like, I mean, you're so different.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, thank God, fuck off.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
honestly, it's like, yeah, I am different because I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to uncover back to who I am. And so a lot of times people will get that. Well, oh, you're busy, and oh, you're not quite how you used to be.
Yeah. And it's unnerving though, right? Like you can not laugh at things you used to laugh at. And you're like, what? Why? And like, for example, me being in a pub in London is my worst nightmare now. I hate it. And it's just like, it's weird for you also to be like, whoa, I don't like doing the same things I used to. Or I don't like having the same conversations I used to. But again, it's okay.
Yes.
It shows you're growing, yes. And that co-elevation is really important in all relationships. But I think, around you, you want to have people that challenge you. You want to have people that support you. You want to have people that are your rocks. And you want to have your mentors, people that teach you. And so, yeah, making sure that you've got this variety, and that can be ages, genders, it can be race, whatever it is.
Yeah. But
create this bubble or network that means that you don't stay the same.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Even a partner. I have a partner that challenges me for almost 30 years. Thank God. So as far as an invitation, I always, sort of at the end, because I'm only going to cover so much of it. If there was something that felt important, an invitation that you'd like to give the listener that I missed, that you wanted to highlight, I just wanted to give you the space to do that.
Yeah, I guess I've got my very serious one, which is your mind is like a puppy, and if you don't train it, it's going to shit everywhere, which is important. But I think really, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that your mind is the source of all your greatest love and achievements and relationships and joys and successes. But it's also the same mind that is responsible and the source of all your greatest limitations and things that are going to stop you and self-sabotaging, all of that. But you literally have power over it. You get to choose if your mind is going to be a tool and an advantage, or if it's going to be a weapon and it's going to be harmful. And comes back to what we said in the podcast, just start small. Start really small.
Yeah.
Learn about your mind a bit more. Do one little thing every day for it. And that's just the first stepping stone we need. Because if you treat your mental fitness a bit more like your physical fitness, it's kind of impossible for your life not to feel a bit different. So
the book is Visualize, Think, Feel, Perform Like the Top 1%. And just remind people all the places they can find you. And also, did you read the book? Do you have an Audible?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. So Audible and anywhere books are found, but also tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, so Maya.mental fitness is really on Instagram, TikTok. LinkedIn is Maya Raichoora. The book will be online, Amazon, or anywhere you can find it. But yeah, the audiobook's interesting because a lot of people have said, because I guide the visualizations in it, that it's quite a useful way to just try it and immerse yourself in that. But other than that, yeah, always just very happy to grab a coffee, smoothie, or chat about this because, yeah, as you can tell, I love it. So yeah.
Did you copyright mental fitness?
I couldn't.
You got oh, darn.
Someone took it for like mental fitness.
Like what?
Something. It was like a company.
Really?
So, and then I tried Mental Fitness Live. They didn't allow that because I do these events in London where it's like a cycling class, like a spin class, but it's all mental fitness. It's really
Genius.
Fun. Yeah. That's what I want the big business to be, which is why I call it the Nike of mental fitness. Doesn't really make sense, but I was like, who better to do it than with Nike?
Yeah.
But it's like I want you to be walking on the high street, and just like how you see Equinox or Soul Cycle or Solid Core, you're like, you know what? I need to build my confidence this week, and you book a class, and it's that sort of thing.
Oh, you're going to kill it.
Well, let's see.
You are killing it, but you're going to continue to kill it.
Yeah, that's the aim.
They're lucky to have you right now. I meant it when I started the conversation and said that. I mean that. I think you have an interesting blend of like you're youthful and you're not telling anyone what to do, but you're organized and you do it with confidence. And so I'm excited to see where you take your message. Congratulations.
Thank you. I kind of do say that mental fitness is, well, basically where physical fitness was in the 60s. So the train is going, I'm on it. In fact, I'm driving it. If you're going to come on, because otherwise you're going to miss it. And I think it is the next it's the next frontier, I think, of fitness, of the fitness industry.
Well, yeah, because everyone's losing their mind because of the telephone.
Yeah.
So we used to just go in nature or the TV, like we'd be quiet and you'd have a chance. This is, I joke, everyone goes, all these modalities that people have to do, like hyperbaric chamber and the red light and the sauna. I'm like, yeah, because we have to defend against
like
the world we live in.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sorry, an electrolyte is not going to solve your mind. No. And actually, one thing they don't like me for saying this, is that a lot of people say to me, Maya, I go to the gym for my mind.
Yeah.
Great. But you're still going to have the same problems in your mind because you're just running away, technically. Yeah. It's still super healthy for the brain, don't get me wrong. But if you know that you constantly get anxiety in this one bit, or, you know, you're feeling imposter syndrome, you going to the gym will help you in that moment, yes, but it's going to keep coming back. So you can't just train the body and assume that's going to help the mind.
That's right.
You've got to do the mental fitness and training the brain as well.
Yeah.
That's really where you see the change.
Yeah. And just to remind people, it isn't one more thing to do. It's just a few minutes a day. So, Maya, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. This podcast has been brought to you by Laird Superfood. I know it's not fair. Laird Superfood was started in my kitchen, so yes, I'm excited to share it with you. It was started about 10 years ago. Not only does my entire family consume it, but Laird and I work on every product. What goes in the bag, the testing, we have really strict guardrails, but forget all that. It is so delicious. We've got coffees, Peruvian high altitude, low acidic coffees. We've got delicious creamers, bars, greens. But the thing I want to share with you today is our instant category. Now, a lot of times people think, oh, instant. Believe me, not only do we not sacrifice on ingredients, but it is so delicious and so convenient. So let's say you're on the go. Maybe you're working in an office or traveling on an airplane or maybe heading to college. I love our instant category so much because all you have to do is add hot water. If you like to ice your stuff, you can easily do that too, but it's so easy to use. It has high level coffee ingredients with our creamers. We've got instant latte, instant mocha, our latest instant vanilla latte. It is so delicious. I'm not a real vanilla girl, but I love this instant vanilla latte. Why? First of all, we use real vanilla, no natural flavors, no artificial flavors, no weird ingredients. Just incredible ingredients, MCT oil, so really nice for your energy, that sustained energy. You don't crash and kind of get like caffeine up and jittery down. Just a nice, smooth delivery. And again, it's so simple to use. All you do is add hot water wherever you are. So if you've never checked out Laird Superfood, by all means, see what product suits your lifestyle the best. But I want to tell you, I love our instant products. And actually, pretty soon, in about 2 weeks, we're even going to have our instant pumpkin latte for those of you who like that little spicy bit. And if you're not a coffee drinker, I even have instant matcha, really, really trendy, and instant chai. And if you want to, head to lairdsuperfood.com. And if you put in the code GABBY20, so it's LAIRDSUPERFOOD.com. And don't forget to use the code GABBY, GABBY 20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order. I promise you will find something that not only you love, but will make your life just a little tastier, easier, and more energized.